Hey, welcome back to the Drawing Database. It's Professor Marc Leone, and today we're going to spend 15 or so minutes with the fantastic drawing realism works of Adolf Menzel, German artist born in Breslau in 1815, and died in Berlin in 1905. So had a pretty long and very successful career, both in terms of critical acclaim and also wealth and prestige. So he was a contemporary of Caspar David Friedrich, and he got a high compliment by Degas, who said he was the greatest living modern master in terms of at least draftsmanship. And I'll show you why he's an excellent draftsman and one of my favorites. And I didn't discover him until I was in art school in Los Angeles, and I happened to see one of my instructors, my professors, coming out of the art library, and he was carrying a book of Menzel's, and I happened to glance at it, and I said, "Who is that?" And he proceeded to show me a little bit, and I fell in love right then and there with his drawing practice and also his painting practice. I think if you like realism that's loosened, kind of almost in a Russian 19th century style, I think you'll like Menzel's work. So let's get to the drawings here. So these drawings, he's very prolific, lots of charcoal and graphite, very loose and gestural, but yet also very accurate too. I love the linear approach, very quick line work, and then the great quick tone that he puts down over in here, looking charcoal. And we've got him drawing here on some kind of announcement. I don't know what the German is, but you can see that. You can see he used a little bit of smudging and stumping with some of the lighter tone values that makes it go quick. We'll take a look at some stump valuing later on. I don't use the stump as much, but I think I'll start doing that in terms of the educational value of that. But just great rhythm, great control, and great control of a very loose approach. And here we have, looks like a young boy here on the left and an older young man here on the right, maybe in the military with binoculars here, holding monocles or binoculars actually in hand. Here you see the great control of the design of the form in the context of head structure. Look how wonderful that's controlled. A little bit of the orbicularis oculi here with the raised eyebrow, control of the wonderful in and out quality of the line work of the skull. You can see the structure just emerge. And what I love is it's very loose, very gestural. Look at the wonderful variation of line weight. Thicker lines here, charcoal lines, very thick here, and then thinner, delicate areas in the fingers that are lovely. And then a lot of this little smudging and stumping. I don't know if it's done by his fingers or hands or a charcoal stump. We just don't know. But lovely draftsmanship. I love the great lean that he gets with the figure. Both of these are leaning over quite a bit. And you get this wonderful open sort of, eyebrow raised, quality. Just a great sense of control and almost effortless quality by Menzel. This effort is with charcoal and white chalk, gladiator knights, a medieval type of costumery here that we have, and the rendering of the quality of the sheen on the armor is amazing. You see that. What you get with that is a high contrast. So it's almost like glass or any kind of metallic surface. You'll have rich darks against very light lights and some very quick transitions in between, getting the edge quality to work out, and he masters that quite lovely. You get an idea of some of his lay-in gesture through here with a thicker charcoal stick or pencil through there, and then you get a better idea of the rendering in through the armor, in through here and down below the sword, etc., and so on. So we don't know if these are just stored statuesque or if there's men inside. We can't really tell, but the control of the draftsmanship and the value reminds me quite a bit of his paintings. I like to tell my students, draw like you paint. So some students are a little ahead of the game sometimes in painting, or sometimes in drawing, and I tell them to reverse that process: paint like you draw, or draw like you paint, and see what happens. And so he draws exactly like he paints, almost this effortless realism that just is a fantastically executed, spatially, value-wise, edge-wise, accuracy-wise, and he also gets that in his drawings too as well. And here we see a man at bedside here with a wound, and soaking the hand here, and probably a very concerned mother or loved one next to him, watching him perhaps suffer or possibly even perish. But probably executed by life, or from life. So he was there witnessing that moment. Unlike maybe Goya with his disasters of war, which were imaginative, here we see just great control in the wispy quality of the gesture, but yet controlling the anatomy and the volume of the figure coming across. Lovely quality with a little wash. So we probably have probably graphite, holding the pencil to the side at times and then using the tip, and then putting some nice controlled washes underneath that, and then just a great effort of controlling edges, and then the head structure looking away from the figure, in a kind of a turn of sheer sort of grief and pain and sorrow, and perhaps death. Perhaps it was a war victim or a war wound as well. This drawing of two or three head studies with different layers of head studies to economically use paper, and great control of charcoal, line quality, line weight, and the thickness of the head, the expression looking up, the stumping of value to give a lighter tone, and then the heavier charcoal coming on top with the thick line work, I think works extremely well. To get that beard kind of quality and the expressive quality. You get some kind of hand study back at here, and then you get another head that overlaps on top, looking down, probably the same model, and the same kind of 19th century mustache and beard that was popular at that particular time. And just two head studies combined. This kind of technique or style you could use expressively for finished drawings, in the way that other artists have used this particular style, more contemporary artists. And I'm thinking of, as many artists have used more contemporary artists, and that would be Jenny Saville. So I'll do a video on her at some point in time, British contemporary artist that combines different multiple viewpoints with this great kind of sketchy kind of quality that's not cubism when we talk about multiple viewpoints. Here we have a contemporary man of the times, 19th century. This was done in graphite, and you see the lovely quality of execution and finish for a small size. I'm sure you can kind of get the size sometimes by the signature a little bit. So it's not particularly large drawing, but particularly effective. Well lit from the far left, so most of the figure is in shadow except for some of the face and through here, right? And then we get lit in the shoulder that's exposed because it's bending out. I love the folds, the almost effortless quality, getting the shape, and then there's a symbol about 2 or 3 tones. A darker tone, we see the same tone here, a medium tone, and then a lighter tone to keep that pretty simple and pretty quick and effective. I think sometimes these quicker sketches are more revealing of form and of the human spirit than longer, stiffer kinds of studies, but that depends on what kind of artist that you like and you want to be, and that you look at too as well. Wonderful study here of a coat or a jacket with notations around it. So anytime you can find the motivation or the spirit to sketch, sometimes it happens anywhere. And this is lovely in chalk with some white chalk that's blended into the darker chalk to create kind of a bluer tone. We see that a little bit. So 2 additive processes, and we get this kind of manila paper coloring out in through here. So that works really lovely with the highlights. The folds are just rhythmic and beautiful. and he understands the edge quality of those folds and the highlights coming from the light source coming from above and shining down a little bit through here to illuminate that further, with the top being the highlight. We almost feel like there needs to be a figure out here that's somehow looking down, but lovely quality of draftsmanship all over. I'll give you another look at that. We'll take that away. Here's an image of a soldier. It looks a little bit out of date. It seems like a 18th century soldier, but I could be wrong. But we see a soldier slightly bent over, either putting on or taking off a jacket. I'm not quite sure, but we get 4 tones here. We get the charcoal, and we on the paper here, and then we get the peach color for a little bit of the Caucasian flesh, a little white here, and this sort of mauve-y kind of yellow. That he just wonderfully and economically puts down very quickly. I love the quality of draftsmanship in the folds of the form, coming this way and over down to the buttocks, and then moves us out this way with the jacket. And then this little touches of color give us this wonderful sense of the impression of value. Remember, he was working at the same time as the Impressionists, so he certainly was not at the true vanguard of Impressionism and Post-Impressionism, but certainly a wonderful realist in his own right, and again, one of Germany's most successful and celebrated artists still to this day. Here we have a study of 2 lovely gloved hands, so we recognize the figure as somebody with wealth, or somebody with more higher social standing, and then what we might get down below here is the head of that woman, maybe going to the opera or a night out for dinner on the town or a symphony, etc. And just the idea of the beautiful glove with the light source coming from the top right in through here, the almost effortless quality of the line, really economical with that, and then almost kind of like a bluish tone. I'm not sure if that's just the image. Probably is. And then we get that soft stumping that he's beginning to be, we can start to recognize as something he uses quite often, where he's blending with his either a finger or a stump, then he comes back and heightens it on. That really expedites the process, but if you're not used to doing that, I would warn you, be careful. The stump can run away on you, meaning that you overuse it, and you want to combine good additive drawing, which he does in the darks, right, with also stumping to soften where you need that. And cutting back in with line is going to be very important. Gorgeous study of a worker from the back. Very difficult view. You get a little bit of the hump over for the head, right? You get a little bit of bald spot, kind of like me there. Shoulders at a tilt, right? And then you have the opposite tilt from the pelvic unit here down to the split of the buttock coming down. Really nice control. You want to feel that anatomy through the form. That's why it's good to draw clothed models. And then we come down to the end there, really strong crease with the darks in through here to separate both the knees from the legs and the foreshortened leg in through here, foreshortening in through here. And lovely study of drapery. Do you know where the light source is coming from? From the right, of course. And we get this lovely economic, quick, gestural kind of line. But look how he's using, in one stroke goes from a thin line to a thick line to a real thick and then back to a thin. And that's what you get with the palm holding method. And so it will behoove you to, if you're serious about drawing the figure and draftsmanship, to embrace that and study that and try to begin to get more comfortable with that. It is not an easy process. The younger you start it, the better. But if you're used to working with a stylus type hold or a pin hold, then by all means continue that. But you do get a wonderful sense of lots of variation when you use the palm method. Lovely control here of the facial features. This head study is quite gorgeous. You get the study of the eyes in the same female with a little bit more time involved in it. And I love the loose quality of the clothing to contrast with a little bit of tightening in the head in through there. That works beautifully. So this looser quality that you can sketch, and then you can draw, create a focal point. I'll put FP for focal point by a number of means, by creating more dark around the head or the top or anywhere you want, or by rendering out the head and tightening it up and keeping everything else a little bit looser. This is another way to create that. Let's bump this up a little bit, see how deep we can go. See how this image will let us, and so you can see a little bit of the more the detail there. Okay, that's too far, obviously. We'll come down a little bit. We can get a better read on that. That's a pretty nice job. The delicate rendering through here probably stumped a lot of this out, meaning he blended or smeared that with the cardboard paper stylus, and then came back with some erasing into the highlights to get that blended out, and some darks to add to that. But lovely control of the anatomy with the jowls, a little bit of downturning as we get older. My wife and I were looking at our faces the other day and thinking, well, it was great to be young. We're starting to get that downturn a little bit, but that happens. So anyway, let's go on to the next. Lovely head study here in graphite pencil with the same qualities that we come to know of Menzel. We get the wonderful kind of stumping of the soft modulated tone that he gets by smearing and blending, but then he goes back on top and works additively with the pencil. This is in graphite. And then he subtracts out the lights too with an eraser. Sometimes he may draw around that, but I have a hunch that he's erasing subtractively some of these, the earmarks, the highlights, etc. You get a lovely coarse shadow here, right? Reflected light here in that area because he's well lit from the slightly top right. We know that because the nose and some of the mustache is in shadow, so he's well top lit there. It shows off quite nicely the light and this beautiful quality of mustache. Just great drawing control overall. Lovely page of gestures of soldiers, an older man holding a musket. Maybe he's a soldier, maybe he's defending his homestead from invaders or animals, we don't know, but I love the gestural quality. I love the mass gesture quality of the thicker tonality and the thinner line that he gets, very quick and wispy. There's no time for detail here, but there's a time for expression. The knuckles in through here, the simplicity of the hands, the overturned head, and then a little bit longer study of the gesture of the face. The overturned head really slows down with the eye, the overturned eye, so we get this wonderful quality of this idea in the eyelid coming down and through, and then we get the pupil and the iris here, right? And then the little bit of the top of the cheek coming over, and then the here, and we get the nose starting to turn, and look at the overturn the nose, so we see, underneath the nostril, and then the soft cheekbone overturning, so you get a lot of overturn, and then the brow gets overturned, and then the head gets overturned, so we see all that together. Lovely, lovely page, just one of a wonderful page of gestures. Last page here of graphite, a young man, or almost middle-aged man in a monocle, or slightly bifocals. Notice that the detail is all in the light. So we want to read more in the light than in the shadow. I like how he buries, once he gets his head structure in very quickly, I like how he buries the entire figure in this value tone. Then he reaches for coarse shadow for separation. We don't even get the other side of the nose. We get a hint at the eyes, a hint at the mouth node, a little bit of structure, and that's all we need. And he comes over and really renders in a very quick way the eyes, the glasses there. Look how the ear is simplified, and then this beautiful glistening highlight that's erased back to get that over. Just a lovely quick sketch from Adolf Menzel. What an amazing master he was, and what a gift he gave us in terms of these drawings and paintings. You guys take care out there. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.